Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at the GTech has just got underway. It's Brentford taking on Aston Villa, and you've got to say it's a game where both teams need to improve. Brentford were really disappointing in that first half, especially away to Nottingham Forest last weekend, whereas Villa didn't put up any trees at home to Newcastle either. That said, of course, they did have to play a certain chunk of the game with 10 men after that red card for Ezri Konsa, but I think both teams really need to show some sort of improvement today, Brentford especially being the home team, and a lot of pressure on the new manager Keith Andrews. But it's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and James Larrson taking the action. James, we were just saying before we came on air that it's one of those ones where if Brentford start well, they could perhaps get a bit of joy against Villa, but Villa will know that Brentford can be got at defensively as well.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be very wary of that. But it's interesting, as you say, because there's a bit of sort of pessimism in both camps, isn't there, really, Paul? There's a slight opportunity on this right.
Well, there is, yeah. Otara breaks into the box. I mean, it was a long ball played down the right-hand side here. I mean, it should be a corner kick for Brentford, surely. What happened there was that Otara got to the edge of the area. Luca Digne just sort of stopped him as he was trying to get into the box. And then Digne sort of stumbled. Otara then took advantage of that and ran into the box. He was eventually challenged and the ball was put out. I thought it was put out for a corner, but it looks like they decided that Dango Otara got the final touch. I'm not entirely sure what the decision is here, but it has just been given as a goal kick after all that, which is a little bit of a surprise. Just to remind you, the two teams very quickly. It's Kelleher in goal for Brentford, a back four of Coyote, Collins, Vandenberg and Lewis Potter. It's Yarmoliuk and Henderson are the two holder midfielders, with Otara, Damsgaard and Sharda as the attacking midfield three, playing behind Igor Thiago. As for Aston Villa, it is Martinez in goal, back four of Cash, Pau Torres, Mings and Digne. Two holder midfielders are Onana and Kamara. The three ahead of them are McGinn, Tielemans and Rodgers, with Watkins as the front man. And Villa just making a bit of a hard work here of trying to play out from the back. They do eventually get the ball up towards the halfway line, and held up here by McGinn, who turns nicely and fires that ball in towards Morgan Rodgers, who dances away from Henderson and is going straight through the middle. Here is Rodgers. He tries to get a ball down to that left-hand side. It's a good challenge from Coyote, and then it's been missed completely by Onana, and all of a sudden Brentford are on the counter. It's Coyote finding Damsgaard, back to Coyote, getting towards the edge of the area. He's got Otara ahead of him, but he's trying to go alone here into the box. It's now picked up by Damsgaard. He's got Sharda over on the left-hand side, and that's where the ball has gone. Sharda just gets it stuck in his feet a little bit, couldn't quite get the shot away as quickly as he would have liked, but now Damsgaard dances past two and goes for goal. It just wide of the post. But Mikkel Damsgaard, he was notable for his absence for Brentford last weekend. He only just had a baby with his wife, so they gave him the weekend off. But goodness me, he's making up for it there.
Yeah, he certainly is. A really fast start from both sides, actually. It was end to end, wasn't it? It was an early chance for Brentford, and then they went from back to front really, really quickly. It's a wonderful run up that right hand side from Kiali, worked it forward. Great footwork, as you say, from Damsgaard. Still had the angle to work, needed to shape it in a little bit more, but positive stuff from Brentford.
It is, certainly. I mean, you're absolutely right. Just seeing that second angle for the replay, the ball never really had any curl on it, did it? It was sort of going a bit of an angle away from the post, but it's still an encouraging sign there for Brentford. That all just came basically from Rodgers being dispossessed, and then Onana missing a ball in midfield, and all of a sudden Brentford found some space. But it's Villa back in possession. They're in this sort of charcoal grey, I suppose dark charcoal grey away kits this afternoon. Brentford is always in red and white at home, but Villa finding some space now down the right hand side into Morgan Rodgers. He tries to get the ball through to McGinn, but that one is cut out by Vandenberg, and then hooked forward here by Sharda. Over the halfway line goes Igor Thiago, who was very happy to get on the score sheet for Brentford last week. He actually signed at the beginning of last season, but missed the whole season because of a knee injury, and so it was important for him, even though Brentford really struggled against Forest. At least Igor Thiago was finally able to get off the mark. It's 4 minutes on the clock. Villa just slowing things down here in midfield, and two other games in the Premier League to tell you about, and there's already been a goal in one of them. It's Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0. An early goal for Marcus Tavernier in that one, Semenyo with the assist. But Brentford winning back here in midfield, with Henderson now playing an optimistic ball down the right hand side, shall we say, towards Damsgaard. He's never going to get on the end of that one, and it's quickly cut out here by Onana, playing it back towards Emi Martinez, who's also back in the team for Villa this week. He was suspended following that red card on the last day of the season against Manchester United. So Bizot made the start, and he kept a clean sheet, but it's clear that Martinez is still the first choice here for Unai Emery.
Yeah, I think he was always going to come back in straight away, wasn't he? You know, a lot of people regard him as being one of the best keepers in the world, and it's fair to say that. But it was never in doubt. Might seem a little bit unfair on Bizza, like you say. He did well, made a couple of good saves last week, and got the clean sheet. But I think normal service was always going to resume in goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I probably would. I mean, if I was to say, is he one of the top 5 keepers in the world, I would say that on his day he can be. I just think that there's probably one or two too many sort of technical mistakes in Emi Martinez's game to say that about him all the time. But having said that, I mean, he did have a fantastic World Cup, of course, a few years back. And there was one save in particular last season, I seem to remember, which was quite ridiculous, the way he managed to get his hand to it. But then in the same game, he made a glaring error and let the ball go through his arms. So it's one of those, but certainly a big voice in that Villa dressing room as well. So no surprise that he's back in the team, as here comes Damsgaard down the right-hand side. He felt as though he might have been fouled. A referee doesn't agree. It's just gone out for a throw to Aston Villa. As we can see, Keith Andrews, Brentford's former set-piece coach, now given the full-time role of manager. Does seem like a really big gamble. And wait and see, of course, how this plays out for the West London side. But Brentford having had that positive start in the first few minutes, is now Villa seeing pretty much all of the ball now. It may well be that Brentford have to accept they're going to have to go on the counter quite a bit, with Unai Emery's side really preferring to keep the ball. It's Digne now back towards Pau Torres. So with Mings now just at the edge of the centre circle. Villa wanting to play it a little bit longer potentially, but Brentford have done their homework. They're playing a high offside line. They're making it that little bit more difficult for the visitors to send the ball forward. Mings now trying to find a bit of an angle. Just goes square to Pau Torres. He then goes through the middle, finds Rogers, Kamara going back towards the right-hand side. A bit more space here for Matt Cash. That was the idea. In fact, it was McGinn that went over onto that right-hand side, but the ball to him was just a little bit over here. And this is where now Brentford have to be careful, because Villa, once they get on the ball and have this kind of freedom, they can be dangerous.
Yeah, they can. They've settled, haven't they, Aston Villa? They've taken the sting out of the bees, so to say. And it was a very fast start, wasn't it, from Brentford? And you imagine 7 minutes or so into this game now, is this going to be the pattern for the rest of it? Villa dominating the ball, but they've slowed the game up a bit, and that suited them, I think, Paul.
Certainly has, yeah. And they're just trying to win the ball back here off the home side. It's a long ball down the left, which has been headed out. It'll be another throw to Brentford, with Keane Lewis-Potter resuming his role as the sort of emergency left back for Brentford. He held that role for long spells last season as well. Rico Henry is back fit, but maybe just not quite ready for a start yet, although I'm sure it won't be too far away. It's important for Brentford that Aaron Hickey's back on the bench. He's been out for nearly 2 years with injury. As Villa go all the way back towards Martinez. There's a bit of pressing here from Igor Thiago as well, but Martinez comfortable with his feet, just able to roll this out towards Pau Torres on the left-hand side, and then he sends a long ball up towards the halfway line. It's over the head of its intended target, which was Ollie Watkins. Brentford now back in possession. There could have been a foul there on Henderson. Referee Tony Harrington says play on. And now a ball down the right-hand side here for Ouattara to chase. He gets on the end of it, but he gets there with the ball clearly over the goal line by the time he hooks it across. So it will be a goal kick to Aston Villa down after that run there from Dango Ouattara. Just to remind you as well, in the earlier game, Manchester City losing 2-0 at home to Spurs. It was a very impressive performance from Spurs, of course, under the stewardship now of former Brentford manager Thomas Frank. And to remind you as well that our late kick-off this evening in the Premier League is Arsenal against Leeds United, which could be an interesting one, really, because Leeds did well against Everton, although they needed a late penalty with a bit of controversy to actually win the game, whereas Arsenal didn't really make too much of a fuss in the Manchester United game. United were probably the better side over the 90 minutes as well, so we'll see how that one plays out later this evening. As Henderson just cuts the ball out here. It's important, I think, that Brentford brought in Henderson. When you think of Brentford had named their youngest ever team when they were away to Forest last week, and with the manager leaving, and Norgard and Mbeumo and Flecken, who was a sort of 2-year first choice keeper, you need that experience in the team, really.
Yeah, absolutely, you do, Paul. And it was going to be interesting to see when he left Liverpool if it ever would come back to the Premier League. And I think a lot of people had the money on him going back up to his homeland, back up to Sunderland. So caught a few people by surprise him going to Brentford. As you say, they normally tend to sign players on the south side of 30, don't they? So yeah, it was an interesting one, but huge experience. And you know, he's got a lot to prove.
He does, yeah. I mean, as I say, he was such a pivotal player when Liverpool did win their sort of COVID title, wasn't he? He was such an important player, that captain. But Villa, in the meantime, have won themselves a throw-on in an attacking position here. It's a long throw from Digne all the way in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's headed away back towards Luca Digne. He then goes on the overlap, but it's a good challenge from Damsgaard to cut the ball out. But then the ball deflects back to Digne. Was he offside when he went for that ball? The flag doesn't go up. Villa play on. There's a cross which is cleared towards the edge of the area. It's kept alive though by Cash, and now McGinn's ball into the box, headed away by Vandenberg back into midfield. But Villa still holding on to it now. Yuri Tielemans, who's dropped a bit deeper, pings one out towards the left-hand side. Nice control on the chest there from Digne. Uses the bounce of the ball to hook it into the penalty area. It's away from Mings, who was still up there after the earlier throw. It's now kept alive here by McGinn. Back in towards Kamara. And Villa really starting to look quite comfortable now in terms of their possession in midfield. Brentford are being pushed further and further back. It's with Tielemans now. Back to Kamara. Over towards the right-hand side. A nice control from John McGinn. To drop a shoulder. Just holds it up though and plays it back into midfield. As the visitors, once again, just holding on to the ball. Going back towards the halfway line. Not finding any opportunity to get into the box, but certainly into the Brentford half.
Yeah, they are. You know, it was sort of pinging around in and around that penalty area, wasn't it? There was crosses from the left, crosses from the right, and yeah, no real sort of quality in those balls. But it is interesting, isn't it, Paul, to see how content Brentford are to sit here. There's plenty of pace on the counter. I'm wondering if they are trying to set some sort of trap.
Well, as I say, it's always a good thing to do, to try and draw an opposition side in. The only issue is, of course, to actually win the ball off them. I think Henderson's now just trying to perhaps force the issue a little bit. He's trying to say it should be our throw, and the linesman agrees. It's going to be a throw on to Brentford now down the right-hand side. I must admit, I'm not too keen on, although I suppose it's good that players interact with fans more, but this idea that you've now got players cheering a throw on or a slide tackle that puts the ball out for a throw or a goal kick or something is probably a little bit over the top, particularly as we're only in the 12th minute.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a psychological thing, the sports psychologist telling players to be as positive as they can in every possible situation, but yeah, you think it is a slightly over-exaggerated.
I mean, you get centre-backs celebrating clearances like they've scored a winning goal now, which I suppose if they have cleared the ball in the last minute and that does help you win the game, it is almost like a winning goal. But it's, as I say, it may just be a case of everyone wanting to get involved. I mean, I heard a Sky Sports reporter admit this week that a few managers have admitted to him that actually half the stuff. Oh, I'll break off from that though, because Thiago's gone straight through the middle, and there's a great chance in now for Otara. It's saved in the middle. He's going into the back of the net, and Brentford take the lead. It's Dango Otara on 12 minutes. That ball was played straight through the middle. Aston Villa pressing too high, and my colleague said less than a minute ago that maybe Brentford are trying to set a trap for Villa. I don't know if that was a trap, but it certainly works like that because Villa had too many players further forward. The ball goes through the middle, and Dango Otara, the new signing, gives Brentford the lead on 13 minutes.
Well, how interesting was that? There was nothing too fancy about it. It was just a direct ball over the top, but it was the pace and the power of Thiago who made that run in behind. Still had a lot to do. Got there, got that initial strike away. He would have been disappointed not to have scored first time round, but he was reactive. He picked up the second ball and he tucked it home really nicely indeed, because there was bodies recovering for Villa. 1-0, Brentford lead.
Yeah, well, Thiago was that target man for that initial long ball. He then left it, but as you say, it creates the space for Otara. His initial effort is saved there by Martinez, but he gets to the second ball. There was a replay which froze just on the halfway line because there was a question mark over whether Igor Thiago was offside. I think he was still with his entire body. I still think he was inside his own half, and there was a Villa player just crossing the halfway line. And so we see Keith Andrews applauding that one. Dango Otara, he's delighted as well. It's moved to Brentford from Bournemouth for big money, and less than 15 minutes into his debut, he gets a goal for his new side. And Brentford take the lead here against Aston Villa. So now we'll see how Villa respond, of course, because they were pretty much in the ascendancy in the last 8 or 9 minutes. We haven't quite kicked off yet. I don't know if this is VAR still checking for an offside, or there's actually a Villa player down. It's Boubacar Kamara who seems to have a little bit of a problem here. And whilst we check on that, we'll just see who is on that bench for Villa. They've got Bogard, Buendia, Burrows, Gossand, Matson, Mallon, Proctor, Rowe, and goalkeeper Bizzo. They're actually missing quite a few players, Villa. And you look at that bench. There's obviously some experience in there, but there's quite a few youthful players as well. Yeah,
there are, and you know, it goes back to what I was saying at the start of the game. There was a bit of pessimism amongst the Villa fan base. the circumstances that they missed out on those Champions League spots at the back end of last season's meant that they've probably not been able to invest as much as they would have liked to. And it's a reflection there, and perhaps the youthfulness on the bench, like you say. A few injuries as well, of course, Paul.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Ross Barkley's still not quite match fit. They're also missing Andres Garcia. Ezri Konsa is suspended, of course, after that red card he got against Newcastle last week. But it's such a difficult balance, isn't it? And the financial fair play rules, I mean, without sort of going on too long about that, but they aren't really that fair because they do seem to depend on the clubs. Of course, I mean, people always use Liverpool as an example, but Liverpool do sell very well as well, so they do get money back for some of their players that they sell on. Now we're seeing Boubacar Kamara having to go off the field, so this is going to be the end of his afternoon, unfortunately. It looks like, is that Emi Buendia? It is. It's going to be the Argentine to come on, which is an interesting change because, of course, he's a lot more attacking, I would say, than Kamara. So does that potentially mean they're going to ask either McGinn or Tielemans to sit a bit deeper?
Yeah, you do wonder, and you do wonder if it actually, as well, if it had been 0-0, that would have been the change. Is it a case of actually need to be more forward thinking? But yeah, it'll be intriguing to see. We'll drop that little bit deeper now for Villa. Could it be Tielemans or could it be Onana? I'm not so sure. But yeah, early frustration. Started well. They're on top, Villa, in terms of possession. Now they're a goal down. Now they've lost a man as well. Intriguing to see how they react to this.
Yeah, well, now we're just seeing the replay of what seems to have led to Kamara's injury. It looks like his studs sort of grazed off the ball. He lost his balance, but we come back to the live picture and Brentford are on the attack again down the left-hand side with Kevin Schade. He gets towards the edge of the area. His ball back towards Lewis Potter deflects off John McGinn. So it will be a throw to Brentford in quite an attacking position, and Brentford always do like to have at least one long throw specialist in their team. So this may well see the ball getting launched into the box, and we can see Michael Coyote, the right back, is now making his way over towards the left-hand side to try and get this ball into the penalty area. So we can see straight away Buendia is just telling a couple of players a few things. There may well be that they are having a bit of a reshuffle here, but it would make a lot more sense for someone like Tielemans or even McGinn, for that matter, to sit a bit deeper in that defensive midfield role to allow Buendia to play like the number on his shirt, like the number 10 that he is. But now we're going to see Coyote launching this one into the penalty area, and he really is getting a long run up here and a long launching ball into the 6-yard box. It's headed away, and the second ball drops kindly for Matt Cash, who's got all the time he needs just to hook that away back towards the halfway line, where Kelleher has come a long way out here for Brentford, but sends a diagonal ball back towards the edge of the Villa penalty area. It's headed on, but the header on is just a little bit too high there in the end. I think it was Collins who got underneath it. Easy save in the end for Martinez. And Villa now looking to try and play out, and Brentford have got to get back in numbers here because Villa suddenly got a bit of a spring in their step here as they push forward with Tielemans, and he finds Rodgers over on the left hand side. His ball into the box takes a deflection. It was the cover of Mikkel Damsgaard, and Villa have a corner.
Yeah, and that's a start warning to Brentford about the pace that Villa can have. This time it was them looking to do the counter-attack, and it wasn't. It's the first time we'd really seen Brentford push quite a few bodies forward. As you said, they pushed them forward for that long throw opportunity, and yeah, you just got a sense there of how dangerous Villa can be because they're very, very quick on the counter.
They were, and now Brentford have got to be very careful. To say, for all the praise they got for some of their set-piece work with Keith Andrews last season, that was more from their attacking set pieces. Brentford traditionally under Thomas Frank's stewardship weren't a particularly good side at defending corner kicks, so we'll see whether there's any improvement from that. Of course, the first goal they conceded against Forest last week was one where there was a ball into the box and 3 Brentford players couldn't deal with one Chris Wood. But now we're going to see this corner from Villa, aims at the edge of the 6-yard box. It gets a deflection off a Brentford player, out for another corner kick. It's Collins with the header. Yeah,
it was a steady ball, isn't it, actually? In-swing, I always like an in-swinging ball. Lots of pace on it from Cash at that near post. Body's there to attack it. It's not a million miles away. Needs a similar style of delivery. That was a good one.
I'm a traditionalist when it comes to corners as well. I can't stand these short balls and then 3 passes later you're back on the halfway line. You think, well, just whip it in and make the keeper make a save. It's always going to give you more of a chance, I feel, when Cash is going to try to do something similar. That's a good ball as well. It's headed towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's now played back across and only partially cleared. Tielemans tries to go for goal. There's a high boot there as well. That's going to be a yellow card for Tyrone Mings, I would imagine. It's Keane Lewis Potter that's trying to go for it now. Otara is having a bit of a go at Tyrone Mings there. Two former Bournemouth players, though I think their times at that club may have missed each other there. But in any case, Lewis Potter gets one flush in the face. I'm not quite sure if referee Harrington has actually shown a yellow card in the end. I mean, Mings would say all he was doing was trying to go for the ball, but it is quite careless because Lewis Potter's there in front of him. He can see him.
Yeah, and you could tell by Tyrone Mings' reaction there. He did seem to show some genuine remorse. He went straight over and apologised and just went to check on Lewis Potter. He also held his hands up to the official and said, "Yep, sorry, I knew." And made a bit of a mistake there. It was late, it was high. Nothing more than that. Fair play's opened up.
He has, and he's got away with it. I think sometimes the player's reaction to a foul, good or bad, can make a difference in terms of a booking. I think if he'd have really kicked off there and said, "What are you talking about, ref?" he may have actually got himself a yellow card. But in the meantime, I was going to tell you about Burnley taking the lead against Sunderland, but they haven't. VAR has crossed that goal off. So it is still goalless in that newly promoted derby there between Burnley and Sunderland. Of course, they had very different results in their first weekends. Burnley losing comfortably away to Spurs, whereas Sunderland comfortably beating West Ham. But now it's Brentford on the attack down the left-hand side here with Igor Thiago getting into a bit of a tussle there with Tyrone Mings. And actually, the ball goes out for a throw on there to Aston Villa as the two big men started to get into a bit of a scuffle. We can see Esri Konza there in his casual clothing. Former Brentford man. I'd like to have been back here today as a player, but of course one match suspension after that red card last weekend. And do you expect that Villa are going to do some business towards the end of the window? You'd think they probably need one or two bodies through, don't they, really?
It's funny, isn't it, Paul? Sometimes a particular result could completely change whether that's going to be the case. If they lose today, that's 1 point from a possible 6. And then it starts putting a little bit of pressure on the ownership. And Emery might be knocking on their door. Whereas if they win today, a bit more positivity in the air. But you imagine there's going to be some sort of expectation, especially with Ramsey going out the door. Might be a little bit more money in the coffers there. So, they've got plenty of strength and depth across the park.
They have. There's still rumours that potentially there's a couple of clubs chasing Morgan Rogers. As I say, I think Villa would have to get ridiculous money if they were to agree to let Rogers go. He's only just been there a while himself, having signed him from Borough. Villa's next game, by the way, is away to is at home to Crystal Palace, I should say. That's next Sunday, and that will be the evening kickoff next Sunday. Just to remind you, there's a 7 p.m. kickoff in the Premier League next Sunday. But back to the action here at the GTech. Villa have got forward. They've won themselves a throw-on in an attacking position. It was aimed at Tyrone Mings. There's a head injury there, I think, inside the penalty area. It looks like it's can't quite see who that is actually from this angle, but there is a Brentford player down inside the box. It was Igor Thiago helping out in defence, and it's actually a clash of Brentford heads. It's Vandenberg heading the back of his own teammate's head there, and that's what's caused Thiago the problem.
Yeah, never nice to see two players go down at the same one, especially when it's a bit of a friendly fire, as you say, teammate on teammate. And it's not a bad thing from a Brentford point of view if those guys can recover, just to break up the play a little bit. And as I mentioned actually early on, we've seen Villa dominate the ball. You imagine now Brentford have that lead even more so because we saw the goal came from a ball over the top. You wouldn't be surprised if the second one came from a Brentford counter.
No, you're absolutely right. That's a very good point. As we've just seen a celebrity Brentford fan there, Claudia Schiffer, who actually is part of a Hollywood set of Brentford fans. This is going back to the 80s and 90s when former Brentford chairman Dan Tanner, who's actually passed away in the last few weeks, there was a minute's applause for him before the start of the game today. He opened a sports bar in the middle of Los Angeles, and quite a few famous faces went in there, and him being a former Brentford chairman, he had all kinds of Brentford memorabilia on the walls, and quite a few Hollywood stars have actually adopted Brentford as their team, and seen a few of them over the years, but another one to add to the list today, as we're just allowing ourselves this little tangent, because as I say, both Brentford players with the head injuries are now being checked over. Vandenberg and Igor Thiago should be fine. Now this should be a drop ball, and it's going to be a drop ball for Villa in quite an attacking position here, only about 35 yards out, so Brentford need to pay attention here when Tony Harrington drops this ball for Tielemans, who goes straight out towards Digne on the left-hand side, back towards Yuri Tielemans. He then goes across to the right-hand side here for Cash, out to John McGinn, who's got an overlap here from Buendia. Buendia just holding onto that ball a little bit too long. In fact, I'm not even sure if he ever got a touch. He was just allowing that ball to roll a little bit further in front of him, and it does go out for a goal kick. We're over the halfway point here in this first half, 23 and a half minutes gone. It is Brentford 1, Aston Villa 0, and it will be James to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Paul. It was certainly a decent start to this first half from a neutral point of view. Quite exciting, both sides playing quite a frantic, energetic play. It was interesting actually, we mentioned the early change for Villa. We were just wondering who was going to drop that little bit deeper for them, whether it was going to be Tielemans or it was going to be Onana. Initially I'm thinking it might be Tielemans. He seems to have dropped off a little bit. Whether that will change over the course of the game, I am not quite sure. Anyway,
I think it depends on what Emery prefers. I think if you were to ask me who's a better holding midfielder, McGinn or Tielemans, I mean both of them can play in that role comfortably, but I'd probably just give it to Tielemans, I would say. And in the meantime, more injury problems here for Villa. Now it's Matt Cash who's complaining Is this a muscle injury, or is he saying that he's been caught? In any case, Villa coming across now. The Villa physios are now checking Matt Cash over. Referee is asking them to go off the field. It makes sense, really, if they're going to check to see if Cash is okay. And Unai Emery, he doesn't need any more injuries here. It's also slowing the game down. Just as his side were getting into a bit of a flow after conceding early, they're having all these moments here just to slow them down. It's going to frustrate him as well.
Yeah, that's what I said when there was the injury a few moments ago. It's not actually a bad thing for Brentford just to break up the play, slow it down a little bit, and ultimately frustrate Villa. The pressure's on them now. They're a goal behind. They're probably, in fairness, expected to come here and get results. It's going to be interesting how it pans out. They will be able to build from the back now, though, will Aston Villa. It's a careless ball in midfield, which is picked up by Collins, and he's put a ball in behind for Thiago to chase. He's waiting for the supporting players to come. Eventually does with Damsgaard. Ball in midfield. They managed to push forward a little bit now. Might be another opportunity. There's an overlap, and there's a chance to put a ball in there. Villa regrouped fairly well, but it was careless play, and it just shows you how quickly Brentford can counter. Again, they put that loose ball in midfield, and they go back to front very quickly, don't they, the home side, Paul?
They do. That's something that's a leftover from Thomas Frank, and Keith Anderson would have been very wise to have allowed some of that play to remain, perhaps to have his own sort of spin on it. But the idea that Brentford can just get out of their own half, they've won themselves an attacking throw, and here is Michael Coyote.
Yeah. Paul touched on the effectiveness of the Brentford long throw. Here is Coyote from that right-hand side. Lots of hang time. Lands on the edge of the 6-yard box. The head's going. It's bouncing around. The strike comes in, and it's ricocheted out on that left-hand side. It was a decent strike indeed. Was it Van der Berg that was there on his left-hand side? Looked to turn it goal-bound. It wasn't a bad strike at all. Villa body's gap, but ultimately it's causing a great deal of panic.
It is, absolutely, and the effort that's charged down in the end, coming in from the left-hand side, it's actually Henderson that has the effort in the end, but it's a long throw from Coyote, and as you say, the fact that it hangs so long in the air, you'd think it gives defenders more time, but it also gives the attacking players more time to get underneath it, and now an in-swinger from Damsgaard.
Swinger from that right-hand side, from the Danish international, comes in, lands at the front of the 6-yard box. It has been headed away. Villa push out now, and it's sprayed out nicely to that left-hand side. Wonderful touch from Damsgaard. He'll have another opportunity to put the ball in. It's not a bad one. Tyrone Mings is there to head it away. There's a loose ball which Cash gets to. Looked like it was going to trickle dead there. It might have gone out for a corner. Cash, does he panic a little bit and hoist it clear, or is he just trying to stop it going for a...
I think he knew. I think he felt it was going out for a corner already. By the time he clears it, I think it's already gone over the line. That's what I'm thinking with the referee pointing. But this is a good little spell for Brentford now. Villa under pressure.
Yeah, certainly is. Another ball in from Damsgaard. It's flicked on by Sade. Ends on the edge of the D. Strike comes in from the edge of the area. It was a speculative effort. And I think it was Vandenberg at D. It was this time. I beg your pardon, it was Yarmoliak on the bounce. And, there was plenty of Villa shirts in front of him. But when it sits up like that, you have to have a go, don't you, really, Paul?
You do, yeah. It wasn't the best effort from Yarmoliak, but I think it's important for him to have shots like that because he's really been sort of thrown into the deep end now. He got quite a lot of game time towards the end of last season. But I'll just break my point off from that because we're just seeing a stat on the screen there, James. 27% for Brentford, but they've had 6 efforts on goal. Villa have had 73% possession, but just the 1 effort on goal. Yeah, it is interesting. They've had plenty of ball inside the Brentford half, and they've not really been able to do anything with it. No, they've been stifled a bit. But the point on Yarmoliak is that now with Jensen just being sort of farmed out to more of a substitute role, Norgard has left the club, so now they are seeing Yarmoliak potentially as being a sort of pair with Henderson as a sort of defensive midfield too. Yeah, well, the pair of them are protecting that back four nicely at the moment. It's out there on that right hand side for Villa. Matty Cash has the ball, seems to have recovered from that knock that he was struggling with a few moments ago. Again, the pace of the game drops slowly. Tyrone Mings has it in front of the centre circle. And they're happy to stroke it around here, Villa. Eventually, press does come from Thiago on the back inside their own half now with Cash. He slides it out to begin on that right hand side, goes for a quick ball over the top. The body's chasing there for Villa. Brentford just managed to clear the lines and get themselves on the end of it. Is there another counter-attack opportunity there? It's flashed forward again. The running behind from Thiago is a good one. And they just look very, very wasteful. And are they lacking any kind of creativity, lacking ideas, Villa? Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, they're getting enough possession inside the Brentford half. We've just seen a stat. They're getting 73% possession in total. But despite that, it's when they get to that final third, they just seem to be lacking ideas. I mean, I know that Cash, when he lost the ball on that right-hand side just recently, he was again complaining that he had an injury. I haven't seen him come back. Actually, no, he is back over on that right-hand side now, but still not quite running through that right foot. So wait and see whether he's okay. As ball given away there by Onana.
Yeah, this time it's Onana that had dropped a little bit deeper for Villa, and he was careless with it, giving the ball away. But now Brentford have conceded it themselves. Cash has it on that right hand side, excels over the halfway line, puts his head up, he's got an opportunity to put the ball in the box. Block comes in. Is it going to go out for a corner kick? Yes, it is. Kelleher did his very best to scramble, and just the final bounce took it over his head. Opportunity for Villa.
Yeah, fair play to Kelleher, but I think he was fighting a losing cause, and the deflection and the way that ball was spinning away from him was always going to make it very, very difficult for him to get on the end of this. And Villa, with their third corner kick, there've been 5 in total here as we reach the 30th minute. It's going to be a ball in, probably an in-swinger from McGinn from the right-hand side.
Yeah, it was 2 in-swingers from Cash, wasn't it, from that left-hand
Digne,
side.
in fact, I beg your pardon.
Luca Digne it is, who steps up again, opting for the in-swinger. They opted to go to the near post with those first 2 couple of corners, did Villa. Wonder what option they will go for now. Plenty of bodies forward, plenty of height in there with Tyrone Mings and Onana as well. Take the time with this one though, do the visitors. Eventually it comes in from the Frenchman. It is an in-swinger from that left-hand side. Lands just on the edge of the 6-yard box. It then came away. Strike come in, and it's Sharda who was there to block it from Tielemans. Good effort that from the Belgian, turning it goalwards. And everyone's regrouping, everyone's getting stuck in for Brentford, getting bodies in the way.
He strikes that really sweetly, does Tielemans. I mean, he's got left foot, right foot, but I mean, that was a really good left foot strike, puts his laces through it, and Sharda gets a good block in, another corner for Villa.
You have to remember that wonderful goal he, of course, scored for Leicester City in the FA Cup final, showed what a sweet striker of the ball he is. This time it's going to be Cash back on corner duty, goes for the short one. Tielemans has it, shows it onto his right foot, lays it off to the edge of the area. The strike comes in, saves force from Kelleher. It was a good effort from McGinn, who turned it goalwards. Might have a second opportunity from the rebound. It's bouncing around. They've got to be careful they don't get caught on the counter here. They have picked up possession again. That was a nice strike from McGinn. They still have the ball, do Villa. They're going to go for the long diagonal out to the left hand side. Cash is still up there for them. Brentford clear the lines. Damsgaard's there, looks to win the foul. Can they break? Villa still have it. Again, another strike, but they seem to be content, Brentford, to put the bodies in the way and let Brentford shoot, let Villa shoot.
Yeah, I think that they've once Villa get to that attacking third, I think Brentford have just got to try and flood the penalty area. I mean, it's a strike from outside the box that Kelleher had to save with his feet, so it just shows you how many bodies there were in front of him. They couldn't get his arms into that position, but here come Villa again with Rodgers' ball across the 6-yard box after a long ball from midfield. It's deflected out. Both teams have got their arms up. I think, not quite sure what Brentford were appealing there, because there's definitely a final Brentford touch. Maybe they thought there was an offside in the build-up, but it is out for a throw to Villa now. And Luca Digne can send a long ball into the box as well. Yeah,
Digne has it on this left-hand side, waits for the support to come. It does eventually. Might be a crossing opportunity off his right foot. Waits and finds Torres, who dinks one over the top. He's found Digne. It's made that run in behind. It wasn't a bad one. Brentford got the bodies across, just too much on it. And again, I mentioned there's a clear lack of creativity inside this first half an hour from Villa.
There is, yeah. I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, that last, we'll see this one again. I mean, it's a good save in the end from Kelleher, because that ball does come through a line of bodies as it reaches the Republic of Ireland goalkeeper, and he does really well, actually, saving it De Gea style. I think he's pretty much painted in that kind of save with his feet now, hasn't he, De Gea? Everyone sort of uses him as the benchmark. But yeah, in any case, I mean, the last move there for Villa, just a ball over the top down the left-hand side. It was the right idea from Torres, but it was overhit, and looks like Kelleher was waiting to take this goal kick, but now we see Kevin Sharda on the ground with his right boot and right sock off. There's obviously an issue there, potentially with his right ankle. That's just being taped over now, so let's hope it's nothing too serious. But no change in the other games. It's still Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0, Tavernier's early goal, and it's still goalless between Burnley and Sunderland, but Burnley did have a goal disallowed, although it doesn't even come up as a VAR on our sort of scoring update there, so it may well be that it was just sort of flagged up as a goal, but actually very quickly disallowed even before VAR go. But in any case, it is goalless in that game, and just as we wait for the play to resume, just to very quickly tell you, it's goalless between Birmingham and Oxford in the Championship. Coventry are now 3-0 up against QPR. It's 0-0 between Norwich and Borough. Preston lead against Ipswich by a goal to 0. 0-0 between Sheffield United and Millwall. It's also goalless between Southampton and Stoke. But in the final 2 games of the Championship, West Brom lead against Portsmouth by a goal to 0, and Wrexham lead against Sheffield Wednesday by 2 goals to 0. We're on 34 minutes here, and Just trying to think, if you're Unai Emery now, and let's say, obviously we've still got some time to go in this half, but if it was half time now, what would he be saying to his players? Is it a case of more of the same with possession, but just be more effective with it, I suppose?
Yeah, I think they need a little bit more movement in that final third, don't they? Players need to kind of maybe try to pull those Brentford defenders out of position. You know, it's been very lateral in the sense that they're pushing out wide, crossing the box.
How many times have we mentioned Ollie Watkins as well?
Yeah,
he's been anonymous, and that's not even his fault necessarily. The ball's just not getting to him.
No, it hasn't. Every sort of crossing opportunity they have been blocked. As I say, they picked up the second ball well at Villa, but then it's just been strikes again. They need to make more movement in behind you, as you say. Need more movement from the likes of Watkins. But yeah, certainly needs to be all changed for Villa at the break. Might be a bit of spell of possession now for the home side. It's worked out too keen, Lewis Potter on that left-hand side. He's been very deep, perhaps not the opportunity he would have liked to get further forward. We know what a threat he can be from an attacking point of view, and it's interesting how many balls we've seen over the top from Brentford. We're surprised to see them playing quite direct.
I suppose I wouldn't say it's something that they want to employ in every game, in every situation, but in this particular game, with Villa trying to flood midfield and have so much possession, it does kind of make sense, particularly as we've seen Digne a little bit unhappy with having to chase down Otara, who's very fast. On the other side, we've had Cash with a couple of injury problems, and Sharda's very fast as well. So it makes sense, and we've seen how difficult Thiago can be through the middle. So it makes sense for Brentford to try and pick out those mistakes there from Villa if they can, as they just win it back here in midfield, and they're on the attack now with Otara.
Otara has it now on this right hand side, cuts him well, showed a good turn of pace as he bought the foul in the process. He looks at the referee who waves play on. It's picked up now in midfield by John McGinn. He's had to the ground, and that's a frustrating one from a Brent point of view, because there was a fair shout. It looked as if Otara had been brought down.
If the referee feels that there was a foul on John McGinn and what Otara's had done to him is the same, I agree that Otara might be adding a bit more, but there's an arm out from Digne, and Otara is going over because of it. I mean, yes, I agree that an arm across your waist isn't enough for a grown man to fall over in that situation. Otara is making the most of that, but in a footballing sense, you could argue that he's almost entitled to, because Digne is trying to stop him without playing the ball. Yeah,
it did seem like a fairly similar offence. Either way, Villa have possession now, and they're in a forward attacking position. Buendia picks the ball up, looks for the support to come. Eventually does, with Cash on that right hand side. Tyrone Mings is pushed forward into the Brentford half. Finds his centre half partner, Pau Torres. He checks the ball inside. Tielemans has it under a little bit of pressure. Pushes it out to Cash. And it's out again with Buendia on that right hand side. There's the overlap from Cash. Doesn't use it, instead opts to play it in field to Onana. Is there a costing opportunity? He slides it forward. There might be now. Buendia has it. Back to Cash. Here we go. The ball eventually comes in. Brentford push out well. It ricochets out for a corner. And I must say, Paul, I'm really impressed with Brentford defensively.
I am as well, almost surprisingly so. I think that considering how open they were last week and the sort of goals they conceded, it's clear that they've been told to focus on that this week. But I think we have to sort of temper that by saying that we know that Villa can be more creative and more direct than what they have been. This is still a quite flat performance from Villa in attack, really.
Yeah, it certainly is. Matty Cash has the ball in hand. It's going to be a long throw this time for Villa again. This has lots of hang time, lands in front of the 6-yard box. Brentford do well to deal with it. The ricochet is cleared, and it's hit the official in the midriff there. And there's plenty of complaints there from the Brentford players. I'm not quite sure what he's given, whether it's going to be a drop ball, this ball.
Well, it should be a drop ball for Brentford, because they were in possession when the ball was cleared. I suppose Villa would be arguing that the ball was going to be cleared to one of their players anyway. Brentford will be arguing that they were going to go on a counter. I don't think Brentford can stretch it that far. They were going to clear the ball and was going to reach to the halfway line. But Villa's argument is, well, ref, if it wasn't for you, we would have got the ball back on the halfway line. But the referee is saying, well, the last touch comes off a Brentford player, so it should be a drop ball to the home side. Contested drop balls pretty much have been eradicated from football now, haven't they? So it has to go to one team or the other. Both teams are still arguing the toss here with the referee, but I think it is going to go the way of the home side.
Yeah, it certainly is, and they'll be absolutely delighted with that.
I like that, though. It's sort of 50-50 there. Brentford have had the drop ball, but they agreed that they were going to clear it anyway, so they've given it back to Villa.
Yeah, it was the right thing to do, a nice bit of sportsmanship, good to see, but it suits Brentford as well, because, they pushed Villa all the way back to their own goalkeeper, and it is Martinez now who puts the ball over the top, running behind. We eventually see some level of play from Ollie Watkins. He got a touch on it for a second to show. It ricocheted back into midfield, and 38.5 minutes so gone in this game. Brentford lead by 1-0, and Villa once again have to build from the back with Martinez. He's got support from Tyrone Mings on the edge of the area. And he puts it out to the right touchline where Matty Cash has the ball. He knocks it forward, finds McGinn, waits for the support to come. It does from Buendia, who's playing nice and centrally now. And he knocks it back into his own half where Torres has the ball. Spaniard carries it over the halfway line, looks for the options. Eventually one comes in midfield from Tielemans, takes his time on the ball, lays it back to Torres. It's a 1-2. Tielemans has it again. Again, very slow build-up player from Aston Villa. Mings to Torres. Digne has it on this left-hand side, and again they're very, very sluggish there, and it suited Brentford. They pushed out. Damsgaard was there, goes out for a throw.
It does, yeah. Brentford still defending well, but you just get the feeling that there's one or two levels more to come from Villa in terms of what they could do in attack. There's a long throw from Digne, picking out Rodgers. He does well to draw the block from Coyote, and it will be a corner.
Yeah, and you imagine it's going to be another one from Matty Cash from that left-hand side, an in-swinger. Plenty of corners for Villa in this game, and have been very complimentary about Brentford in defence, particularly actually from the set pieces. They managed to look really, really organised, and they haven't been too threatening from corners so far. But there's another opportunity here as we tick into the 40th minute of this game, the 41st minute. And Cash is poised. The usual suspects up for Villa: Onana, Tyrone Mings, Pau Torres as well. And it comes in from that left-hand side. Again, they go towards the near post. Again, Brentford deal with it very well, and there might be a counter-attack opportunity. Ouattara has it. He knocks it forward, looking for the running behind. Damsgaard was the man who was furthest forward. Villa get back and regroup well. Couldn't quite capitalise on what was potentially a counter-attacking opportunity. Maybe rushed it a little bit too much.
A little bit, yeah. I think that's always the problem with a counter when you're relying on that one long ball, that one direct pass, finding one teammate who can then use the pace and run onto it. Anything goes wrong in that little scenario there, and the ball is lost. But yeah, I mean, Brentford have pretty much accepted this since the 5th or 6th minute, that they have to sit back and soak up Villa pressure. And it's just a case of whether Brentford can keep doing that, or whether or not Villa have got a little bit more of an elaborate approach here to show us. But for the time being, it's Pau Torres and Tielemans exchanging passes.
Yeah, Tielemans has seen plenty of the ball, but he's not been able to do much with it. Had that wonderful strike on goal that was well blocked. And again, Villa are giving the ball away in midfield. Kevin Nishada picks it up on that left-hand side, carries it forward, flashes the ball across the 18-yard box. Thiago was there to change his. It goes across everyone, actually, and it's well defended, actually, by Torres. And Villa have it at the back now. They're going to move it down this left-hand side. It's good footwork again from Tielemans, so I thought. So he's given the ball away. There might be an opportunity here, though. It looked to be slid through for Shard, who was making that run in behind. And I've noticed now, actually, I'd said he's seen a lot of the ball, Yorick Tielemans. He's not done a lot with it. He's actually given it away on a couple of occasions.
He has, yeah. I mean, it just seems like Villa are not quite at the races in terms of what they're doing in possession, and Brentford are capitalising on that. It's real energy about the front three, arguably because they have not had too many chances to get forward in this game so far. So when they finally do, they're able to really put Villa under some pressure, and it's going to be another long throw here from Michael Coyote.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I'm very, very impressed with that option that Brentford have from the long throw. He's able to put so much hand time on it, as I mentioned already, and it has seemed to cause Villa problems on each occasion, as the linesman on that far side just having a bit of electrical work done to him on his shoulder.
Absolutely, yeah. Running repairs here for the assistant referee. Just being, as I say, literally there's a man stood next to him with like a toolbox trying to, I think it's either reconnect the battery or get the earpiece working or whatever it is. But Michael Oliver, the fourth official, just standing behind Unai Emery, just overhearing exactly what's happening, hoping there's nothing too much of a delay there. And it's Coyote now with the long throw.
Yeah, he takes the long run up, does the Brentford right back, and again it's caused problems in the area, and it's been thumped into the back of the net. Wow, I mentioned it was causing problems. It was thrown in, it wasn't dealt with at all by Buendia. He punched it away, and it landed at the foot of Damsgaard, who on the volley thumps it home. It's a wonderful strike. He dealt so well with that. Maybe there might have been a foul on Martinez. He's certainly milking it. It was his mistake. He did not clear that punch well. He's light on his backside. We'll concentrate on that in a moment. But first of all, what a strike from Damsgaard.
Well, it's a great strike from Damsgaard, but the fact that we're seeing a very animated Brentford captain here, Nathan Collins, suggests to me that this goal is going to get chalked off. The referee's now pointed to his arm as well, so have they seen a handball in the midst of all of that? We'll wait and see, but Emi Martinez for the time being is checked over. I mean, he's being helped up here by the referee. Let's have a look here as this ball comes in. I mean, Vandenberg, is he jumping into the goalkeeper? Is he right to do that? it's hard to say. That's a 50-50 for me, not in terms of of whether it's right or wrong, but in terms of what the officials will say. Because I think Vandenberg has the right to go for the ball, but are they going to say that he's got in the way of the goalkeeper? Or is the goalkeeper not doing enough to find his own space to jump for the ball? I think it really, I mean, he gets a hand to it, does Martinez, so arguably he's had enough space to get onto it, and then the Damsgaard effort thumped off the underside of the bar. The goal has been chalked off. It's not going to be allowed. So Brentford were 2-0 up, but only for a moment, and they've decided there was enough of a foul there as the referee just stops play. There was a challenge there in midfield on Tielemans, and I think the referee just wants to get Henderson back here for a quiet word. Keith Andrews will be frustrated, but Villa potentially off the hook, or do you think there was enough for a free kick there?
I think it's a soft decision, I must say, Paul. I think, Martinez was really milking it. He had eyes on the ball, didn't he, Vandenberg? He was only looking at that. He wasn't looking at the goalkeeper. He's got there first to cross him. It was almost as if Martinez was hanging on to his back, knowing that he was in trouble. Did he even get a hand on it to punch it away? No, it was actually headed back by Vandenberg, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's... as soon as I saw those replays, I said it's a 50-50 what the officials will do. They'll either decide that Martinez was being impeded, or that he got into Vandenberg's face and then couldn't get away from him. But it's a hard one. Depending on the referee, depending on the goalkeeper sometimes as well. Some keepers have a bit more of a reputation for being soft in that situation. As Watkins there tries to turn, he got shoved down to the ground. We're going to get 7 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. That's to do with all the injuries, I would guess. Yeah,
it has been a little bit stop-start, hasn't it? Obviously, we saw Kamara go down, and then Cash had a little bit of a knock. Obviously, we've had a little bit of a VAR decision there too. That didn't take an overly long amount of time, in fairness. They were quite adamant, the officials, that goal wasn't going to be given, it seems, in the end. But as I say, frustration for Brentford, because there was an argument that wasn't a foul for sure. 1-0 the lead is. They'll still be very happy with that, considering the lack of possession they've had in this game. But Villa not creating much, and they're looking vulnerable on the counter and indeed from that long throw. And the push forward now on this right hand side, it's pushed out to that right hand side. Again, it's a case of getting the bodies forward. Damsgaard's there, waits for the support, eventually comes from Coyote on that right hand side, and they've gone from front to back a little bit quickly there instead, actually. Alternatively, this time at Brentford, Damsgaard has it now in the centre circle, keeps hold of the ball, and eventually Lewis Potter. It's the first time we've seen him push forward on that right hand side in this game. Bit of a heavy touch from him, and there might be half a chance for Villa there, as Brentford have had a few bodies forward. They're not overly quick, though, to move that ball forward. Onana has it now in the centre circle. Plays it out to Pau Torres. He carries it over the halfway line. Looks at the options ahead of him. Morgan Rogers it was making that run in behind. I mentioned earlier there's not really been enough of that from Aston Villa. And it's now back with Tyrone Mings. He's got Cash to his right-hand side. He's looking a frustrated figure there, is Tyrone Mings. He's saying, someone give me an option. There's not much movement in front of him. And now Buendia has it on that right hand side, and it's back to Tyrone Mings. A little bit further forward, he plays a 1-2 with Tielemans, and it's very, very slow again, this build-up play. They're lacking ideas, as I mentioned already in this game, Aston Villa. Torres has it now. He plays a 1-2 with Tielemans, and now they play that direct ball through the middle, looking to pierce the Brentford defence, and then eventually Brentford put the squeeze on and push him back. They're unable to retrieve possession in the process, though, and they're sat in very deep, very compact now are the Bees, and it's proving very difficult for them to be broken down. Again, it's a loose ball from Tielemans. They've got away with it. Rogers has it now on the edge of the area. Good movement from him. Finds Lucadinha. It's got forward. Is it going to be a crossing opportunity? Goes back to Tielemans. He's got the ball on the edge of the D, rides the challenge, still going, couldn't get the shot away. Buendia has it now on the right hand side. Cross comes in, there's a free header at the far post, is there. Vandenberg's there, I beg your pardon, it's Collins. He gets a head away and he knocks it behind. But again, I keep going on about it, Paul. They just don't know what to do. Aston Villa in possession, it seems.
They don't, but you just feel by sheer weight of numbers and by the sheer amount of time they're spending in and around the Brentford box, if Brentford can't do something to just perhaps push them a little bit further back, then eventually there is going to be one good ball or one mistake from a Brentford player that could pay dividends for Villa. But in the meantime, it's another in-swinging corner.
Again, it's another in-swinger from the left-hand side, and of course Matty Cash is going to take it, the Polish international. Plenty of activity in the 6-yard box, and again it's one dropped in that near post. It's well headed away, but Cash has it again. He picks up the second ball under the challenge of Chiadi, who initially headed the ball away, pushed out, and it was Cash that picked up the loose ball, put the pressure on him, but as he fouled him in the process, Paul.
Looks like that's what the referee... Yes, he has, I think, is the short answer there, James. I think he's got into Cash there without really getting the ball. He's not a centre forward, but it's a forwards tackle. It's not his first talent, is it, Dango Otara, to put in challenges like that? And he certainly wasn't happy with the decision, but now it's going to be an in-swinging free kick from Yuri Telemans.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we touched on earlier how good of a striker of the ball he is. It's a flat ball in, it's cleared away. Cash picks it up on the edge of the area, loops the ball, and it's a complete waste. That he wasn't sure what to do. Hooks it over the top, and it lands comfortably.
Yeah, well, he's right to put his hand up and apologise there, Cash, because all he had to do was take 5 or 6 yards of that. It would have been a good ball. But now Lewis Potter finding Sharda, and Cash shoved off the ball. Is it going to be a throw to Brentford?
Yeah, I mentioned already, we've not seen an awful lot of the ball at the feet for Lewis Potter. Every time he's had it, he's got rid of it as quickly as he possibly can. You'll have seen a lot of him last season. When he plays in that left-back role, is he encouraged to get forward?
He is. I think maybe just today because of perhaps the fact that Sharda has been able to get forward, and they've got Igor Thiago with plenty of running. But certainly Lewis Potter, with Thomas Frank's system, I mean, they often had 3 at the back anyway, so they would like their sort of wing backs to get further forward. But no, I think it might just be a case that he's been just asked to have a bit more of a defensive role this afternoon. But here comes a long throw from Coyote.
Yeah, this time it's from that left-hand side, and it's a wonderful long throw. The distance this time that he got on it, because it was a little bit deeper towards his own half, was terrific. But in fairness, it was well taken from Martinez. He holds onto the ball and now looks for the man in front of him. He finds McGinn just by the halfway line. Now Onana has it. He trips over the ball a little bit, and then he puts one through for Tielemans. A bit more injection of pace from him. Slides the ball through. Watkins has it on the edge of the D. Body's in front of him. Gets the strike away. Ricocheted off the edge of the area, and it's the first time in this game we've managed to see a through ball down the middle. It's pierced the Brentford defence. Watkins looked dangerous. They grouped well. Got the block in, actually, Paul.
They did. I mean, as I say, for all those Brentford bodies back, Watkins still has space to position himself, feint onto one foot, then feint onto the other, hit it with his left and get a deflection. So perhaps Brentford would just like to close him down or sort of surround him a little bit better in that kind of situation. But Villa with their 7th corner kick to Brentford's 2. It's going to be another in-swinger here from Cash. Yeah,
it is. Every time he's dropped it on that near post. Will he try something different just before half-time in this game? 7 minutes or so were added on. Nearly seen most of them out. Here it is, Cash again. This time he goes more towards the centre of the 6-yard box. Again, Brentford deal with it well. They push out as fast as they possibly can. The press is put on, and it's pushed all the way back to Martinez. He takes a touch, and it's the diagonal ball over to the left-hand side. Heads go up. It's been picked up there by Buendia. Was he onside? No, he wasn't. Yes, he was. It is played on. Plays it to stop for a minute there. I don't know if the Brentford fans and the Brentford players believe that was offside. Did you sense that the game stopped?
I thought it had done, but in the meantime, it's a really crunching challenge here on Jordan Henderson. I'm not even sure if the referee spotted this as a foul, but we'll have a look here. When Cash goes forward, he's actually onside. Looking at that, I mean, it looks like a Coyote is still a yard or 2 behind him, but now when that ball is nodded onto Cash, he's clearly offside.
Yeah, it was an interesting one.
But it was Buendia that took the ball. Cash stopped. Everyone assumed that Cash was offside, which he was. But then when Henderson goes to clear this, it's a crunching challenge there, and Brentford midfielders really felt that one from Pau Torres.
Yeah, it was Torres. He was trying to strike the ball. Actually, he's completely missed the ball. He was trying to connect with it as hard as he possibly could. He's missed the ball, and all the contact and power, and has instead gone onto the leg of Jordan Henderson. And understandably, he winces in pain there, the former Liverpool man. And we'll just see it again. It was headed away by Lewis Potter. And is there any argument to say that a card could be given there, or is it just the defence for Torres that he's clearly going for the ball to try to turn it goalwards, Paul?
Well, he's hit the ball first, then on the way down he's trodden on Henderson quite forcefully, but I'm still more of the opinion that there was no intent in that from Pau Torres.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. He was generally trying to turn that ball goalward, and he'll have to go out for a moment or so, will Jordan Henderson, on that far left-hand side. Can't imagine there'll be too much more activity left in this first half. Kelleher's still not in a rush to get on with things. Eventually clears his lines, and it's a long ball over the top. Looked to be flicked on by Thiago. He couldn't quite control it, and now it's not through. And it's picked up by Collins at the back, and it ends up back with Kelleher. Takes a bit of a heavy touch, moves it onto his left-hand side and pushes the ball out to that left-hand side. Well flicked on by Sharda. Thiago's making the run in behind. It was a nice flick on by the German, and that will be that at the GTech Community Stadium. It's been a fascinating first half, a little bit broken up by stoppages, Villa have seen most of the ball. They've not been able to do an awful lot with it. Plenty of opportunities from corner kicks for them, but it's Brentford who lead 1-0 at the break.